Hi, everybody. It's Marna, the last lady of song. Some people say the last lady of sleaze, but I'll go by song. This is my interview with Bobby C, Bobby Cesario, and it's going to be a good one. Tonight, I'm going to be sponsored by, I can't even remember the name. Right. I'm going to be sponsored by Rediscovered Handbags. And it's really rather neat because he makes handbags out of, let me see, let me do this. He makes handbags. Oh, it doesn't work. Okay. Sorry.
I'm
Let me go
lost.
back. Yeah, I know. I am too. All right. Never mind. He makes handbags out of albums and what do you call it? Played bills and things like that. And I'm going to give you the website soon and show you some pictures soon. So it's Ray Ruggieri, rediscoverhandbags.com. If you want to look while we're talking, you can do that too, because we're just talking. So Bobby C, how you doing tonight?
Good. How are you, man?
I was better. I was fine until we had a little problem starting this silly interview, but here we are, you and me and Linda in the background.
You and me, we wanted it all.
Yeah, that's right.
We wanted
That's right.
it all. Passion without pain.
Da, 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 da. I don't remember the words, but I know that
it always.
You and me,
we reached for the sky.
And I got very high.
All right, let's go. What are we talking about?
Okay, so I just kind of met Bobby G. I mean, I've been friends with him on Facebook, but I kind of met him recently, and he's a really nice guy. He's got a really interesting life. Your dad was a singer, right?
He was a musician, singer. He started out playing drums and used to play on Rush Street, the strip clubs, and then he always played piano. He played vibes, and he was a singer. After he was playing Sands, he was working the Sands, and he was working with the Novelites, and they would let him sing a song every once in a while. And it was like the Rich Brothers kind of thing, where comedy and music. So he's at the Sands, and he's got his back, he's like on the piano, he's reading some music or something. And all of a sudden somebody grabs him by the ass. And he turns around, he's like, these are gabardine pants, tuxedo pants or whatever. He turns around and he looks, and it's Sinatra. And Sinatra says, "Kid, you got to get out from behind the drums," because he was playing drums, "and you got to get your own band and start singing." Well, he did that. This was in 1964, 63.
How old were you then?
Well, I was born in 54.
So that you were about 10 or 11.
Yeah, and I never spent time with him at that age. I never spent time with him until I got into my teenage years, because my grandparents legally adopted as their son. His mother and father adopted me as their son. So they raised me. And those were the parents that I knew. And I didn't know that he was my father until I was like about 16 years old. It's kind of like the Bobby Darin, where Bobby Darin's mother was his sister, and his grandmother raised him. Exactly. Only it was my brother.
How come he did that though? Because he was working all the time?
Well, my mother was a singer also.
Right.
And so you got two singers, two people who are performing. The kid's not going to make it. So my mother decided to give me to my grandparents on my father's side. And my father at that time in 54 was in the Navy. So as you can tell, yeah, I mean, they were out of the picture. you know, as far as Vic. And
Is this your mother here?
yes, that's her.
She was beautiful.
Yeah, she went by the name of Mickey Saunders.
Oh,
Her singing, but her real name is Eleanor.
she was just beautiful.
Yes, I wish I knew her. I never met her.
Uh,
She
I
gave me
know,
the
I know
money.
what you mean.
Yeah, she was a great singer also. But that's the story of the other story is how they met. What is this thing on the camera here? It doesn't bother me.
At your
Uh,
television.
I don't know. Something says it's a hole involved. Anyway, how they got involved was that Irv Kupcinet was having a Christmas show benefit, and Vic was playing the drums with a band, and the guys in the band go, "Hey, there's a chick back there who would like to meet you. She's dying to meet." So my dad is like, "Wow, a girl, get out. I'm going back there." So she's back there donating her time as a dishwasher or whatever. So he goes back there and he says, "Did you want to meet me?" And she said, "No." So he's like embarrassed, and it's like he says, "Would you mind coming out and pretending like you like me? Did you want me? You wanted to meet me." So she came out with him, and she turned to him and kissed him. And all the guys in the band are freaking out. Like, what do we do? So hey, that's the story of how I was produced.
It produced.
Yes.
That's a neat story, though. Were your grandparents musical?
They loved music. My grandparents, they were both Italians, and they loved the Italian Dean Martin and the da 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 da, and it was wonderful. It was wonderful, and there was Mario Lanza, a lot of Mario Lanza. Now my sisters, my sister Shirley was a big Sinatra fan, and they influenced my career as far as listening to music at an early age. It is important to listen to music at an early age, because that's, if you want to learn music, at least, I mean, I was listening to James Darren. I was listening to Nat King Cole, everybody. I listened to everybody. And I loved music. And especially my dad. In 66, my dad produced his first album. So, I was like at a record player playing the shit out of it.
I gotta tell you, your dad was good.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
You can hear his dad on his YouTube, which is what, Robert Cesario? Is that the YouTube?
It's Bob Cesario.
Bob Cesario on his YouTube. He's got a lot of stuff on it.
There's my dad. Can you see it back there?
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah.
But I listened to him. I did. I don't listen to everything. I listen to parts here and there, but I listened to him. He was a hell of a singer. He really was. But see, I was brought up, I'm older than you are. I'm older than dirt. and, and my folks always played music too. And my mother taught me how to sing when I was like 4. The first or 3, she let me, I did like A You're Adorable was the first song.
I was 3.
Okay.
I started at 3 years old. They used to get the family around the fireplace, and I'd get the shovel, the shovel from the fireplace. And Bobby, do Elvis. So I was doing Elvis at 3 years old.
And you're still doing them. What do you think?
Still doing it, yeah.
Just a little heavier, but you got that too,
Do it till I get it right.
Yeah. Well, her favorite song was Golden Earrings. The movie was then with Marlena Dietrich, and I used to listen to that, but they always had, 78s were what it was in those days. So I grew up with music too. And it doesn't really run in the family, but it kind of does in their ears. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, I couldn't do what some of the young ones do today. Neither could you, because I had to work, as I got older. I left home, blah, blah, blah. And we didn't have mentors, and we didn't have these silly programs that are on now, The Voice and the hoo-has and, whatever. But it's interesting because did you know what your father did then at all?
Oh, me? Yes.
Yeah, before
Yeah.
you really met him?
Well,
Oh, so,
actually, I didn't know he was my father until I thought he was my brother.
okay.
So,
But
there was something there. There was something there. The connection was unbelievable that I felt when he came home, when I got in trouble. They used to threaten me, I'm going to call Victor. I'm going to call Victor. And so I was scared to death.
uh-huh.
Victor was the bad guy. Victor was the good guy. And when he came home, I'd be sleeping or something, and he'd come in my room, give me a big hug and kiss. And it was a special connection. A child can feel it. It's amazing. But I felt it, that he was more than a brother. Now, I didn't know that he was my father till I knew I was adopted at 14. I found out that he was my father at 16. And because my grandfather says, okay, you adopted, but listen, somebody come up to you and say they're your father. Don't believe them. So I'm thinking somebody's going to come up to me and say he's my father, and he's got to be in the family. So,
right.
And that kind of I kind of felt it. I was in LA with Vic, visiting him during the summer, which I would do. And at 16, which was unbelievable. The things I learned from this guy was unbelievable. Anyway.
But you're very lucky. You're very lucky that you did.
Yeah, I mean, I had him as a brother and I had him as a father.
And you had him as a musician and a singer. That's right.
But I've had him more as a brother than a father. The only father thing was the threatening to call Victor, and whenever I got in trouble, but as a brother, it was like party time, but he always wanted to tell me he was my father. He wrote a book, and he had mentioned that when he was going to the airport, he was at the airport and he went to say goodbye to me, and my grandfather was holding me. Grandfather and father was holding me and says, say goodbye to your brother Victor. Make sure that he said brother Victor.
Uh-huh.
And he from then on he said he didn't want to put too much on my brain.
So do you have any other brothers and sisters?
Yes.
Siblings?
Yes. So that's another story. I
kind of remember you telling it on Facebook. That you live a block away or something from one of your sisters. Yeah, something like that.
I had a sister from my mother's side.
Okay.
2 sisters from my mother's side, and a brother I never knew about till I was 63 years old, something like that. I put the article on Facebook, and next thing you know, I get a message saying, that's my mother, the pictures of my mother. And that's my mother. And I contacted her, and it wound up to be my sister. It's a wild story.
But it's neat. It's very neat, especially at this time in your life that you have siblings. Right.
I mean, but I was always raised as my uncles and aunts were my brothers and sisters. I had Guy was the oldest. Vic was the second oldest. Then there was my 2 twin sisters, Shirley and Anna, who are like night and day, and they're twins. And then there was my brother Joe, who was an artist. And then I was the baby. And as the baby, you're spoiled rotten. I got away with murder, especially having grandparents as parents. It was a party.
And you lived in Chicago area, right?
I lived in River Forest. I was
Okay.
raised in River Forest. At 2 years old, we moved from my grandfather had a 3-flat on Lytle Street. Lytle and Harrison, I think it was. And then we moved at 2 years old to River Forest. We were originally from Taylor and Miller, down in
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
the old
The
neighborhood.
old Taylor Street, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Which I understand is like really gentrified now, by the
Oh
way.
my God, yes, yes, it's beautiful there.
That's what I was told. Because I haven't been home in what, about 12, 13 years. I haven't been in Chicago. Chicago is my home. We moved here about, I don't know, it'll be 13 years next year. So I really haven't been home, and a lot has gone on since I left, you know.
Well, it's crazy over here. I mean, people don't even want to get out of their house. Too much crime. Speaking
Yeah.
of crime, I was Cook County Sheriff for 38 years.
You know, I know that. I want to get to that.
It's a hell of a
'Cause that-
story.
Well, all right, let's go. Why did you do that? Did you start singing at what age, and did you decide to be a sheriff, or
Well,
what? I mean,
I started singing. I had bands when I was 16 years old. I've been in business for 50 years. So when I was like 16, I always had a band and always played and always hung out. But I knew that the business end, you suffer as a musician, as an artist, as a singer. You suffer with bread. It's always bread. You're always looking for a gig. You're always suffering with money. I saw Vic. I saw a lot of musicians, a lot of comedians suffer. I said, I ain't gonna suffer. Nope. I need a steady gig, and I want a pension. So when I retire, I'll be straight. But I was always into law enforcement ever since I was like 16 years old. I was a police cadet, always got involved in law enforcement. So I combined the law enforcement, I combined the music, and that was it. I went off. I mean, I played, I had bands all the time.
and you met a lot of people and did movies and stuff, but
Yes.
okay. So who was sheriff when you were in the sheriff's office?
Elra.
See, my grandfather was a deputy sheriff because he was friends with Elrod.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. You know how that works in Chicago, right?
Yeah, well, there was weekend bailiffs, what they called, the weekend guys. They wanted to have a badge and a gun. So back then, yeah.
Well, he was like a cowboy that was born too late. See, he was a sheriff in the cowboy movies. So he knew Elrod, and he was a deputy sheriff. And I still have his badge and the little card thing, and he had a gun, I don't think he really carried it though. But they used to live in a high rise on Irving Park and Lakeshore Drive. And one night my grandmother heard a gunshot. He took his gun in the bathroom and shot it off into a phone book in the bathroom. So, that's my grandfather, the sheriff. Because when you said you were on the sheriff's, I figured I couldn't remember Elrod's name. I figured it had to be him because that would be the time frame,
Yeah, that was I started 1978.
Mm-hmm.
I was 23 years old.
Right. And I would be what? I don't know, whatever. I was older, but there was that time frame that he did that because he worked for the city. So, and two also. But and I never knew any of that stuff. We lived out in Highland Park, If I'd have known what he did then, I'd have been at the Playboy Mansion or something. Really, I'm serious. But that's the way it is. Okay, so while you were sheriff, you had bands and you could play because you didn't work all the time, right?
Right. Well, I always had weekends off. I wanted to make sure I had weekends off.
Okay, so where did you play? What was the name of the bands or band?
Well, the Stay Out band, uh, that's a heck of a story. This was 1970, about 1975, when I had the Stay Out band, and I was drummer and lead singer. And it was on Manheim Road in Stone Park. We talked about Stone Park.
Yeah, right.
But Manheim Road in Stone Park during the 70s was a party time. I mean, it was a party town. And the Stay Out all night disco was right across the street from the police department and in Stone Park. And we would start playing at 2 a.m.
Okay, look at the screen. What band is this?
That's the Stay Out.
Aha, I got it right.
Yep. There's Tom Walls on the right.
Okay.
And
Okay.
there's Bill Robinette on the left and Lenny next to me.
Okay.
Lenny Sanford, great guitar player. And Tom, forget about it.
I know he was great. It was a sad ending to him, really.
Well, I mean, I don't know, it would be sad to die on stage, but if I had a place to go, it'd be in my sleep or on stage.
Yeah, but it was really bad for the band he was with. I got to tell you.
Oh my God, yeah, I can imagine.
Yes, that was Gary and
the
Odyssey.
Michael talk about it all the time. Michael J. We talk about it all the time. Gary Tide. It's just sad.
I know. I purposely didn't say much when I had Gary on here, but it's got to be really bad. And it's bad for the audience.
Tom was so sweet. He was
I know.
a great guy.
I know. Okay, there we go.
And before Tom, there was Jimmy Johnson on keyboards and sax. Jimmy played with the Ambassadors. It was Rick Cicito's band.
Right.
With Keith Grant, a lot of cats back then. But I mean, the Stay Out band, we play at 2 o'clock in the morning. We'd start, and it was like a talent show where we would invite people up, and they'd get they get free drinks to come up and jam with us. And then we'd have a contest. And it was Pepper's water bed. And we would give away water beds. And then we had my dad involved with doing our album, the Stay Out band album, Staying Out All Night. And that was a heck of a project. We'd have people coming in, whoever won would do the flip side of the album with the Stay Out band accompanying them, and they would have a chance to be on the album, and they win prizes and all that stuff. It was great.
Did you know Chicky Stella?
Chicky Stella, that sounds familiar.
I can't remember what his band was called, but it would be in that time frame.
Okay.
Whatever. And then his wife was a hairdresser, so they had a hair place somewhere out west there. Anyway, okay, you didn't know him, so it's no big deal.
So Bill Robinette was the manager of Stay Out, and he was the bass player. We used to have a jam night back then, way back in the beginning, and Bill and we decided, well, let's just have it every Tuesday night, and it was like a gas. And back then it was a lot of fun. And the problem is 2 a.m, I had to go to work the next morning. It wasn't fun, but I did it. I survived it, should I say.
Yeah, I could see that.
And we were together for something like 25 years, 30 years.
All right, wait a minute, let's see. Okay, so who is this?
That's the Stay Out band.
See, I got that right too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. Is this Tom here?
That's Tom, yeah.
God, he looks like a mountain man, doesn't he?
Oh
Jesus.
My God. Exactly like a mountain man.
I mean,
but as
really
gentle as you can be.
I know.
And the guy played every instrument you handed him.
I know.
He could play every instrument. what a talent. And a singer like a bird, this guy.
And this is you in the white?
Yeah, with the drumsticks.
You're skinny.
I was skinny. I went through a lot of changes. I went
Yeah,
fat, skinny.
You were cute.
Yeah.
You look cute.
Yeah.
See, how did you start playing the drums?
I always had a piano in the house. We had a baby grand in the house, and then we had Vic's drums. My brother Joe started playing the drums. I started 12 years old playing the drums because there was always a set of drums, and my brother Joe was learning the drums. And they were Ludwig's, 1954 WFLs, and Mother of Pearl. In fact, there's a picture on Facebook of my picture is me on the drums. And that was it. My brother was learning, and I couldn't figure out why I couldn't groove, man. I got the groove, but I wasn't grooving. I didn't know what the problem was. Well, guess what? My brother's a lefty.
Oh,
So I'm a righty.
I see.
And I finally dawned on me, I got to switch the snare and the floor tom.
What a schmuck you were.
And I flipped it over. That was the beginning.
Do you remember Rusty Jones?
Yes.
Yeah, he was a lefty. So when he would sit in, he'd always come and switch the thing around, and all the drummers are going, I love you, but please don't do that. And he would, of course,
Yeah, Judy Roberts, I think, used Rusty Jones a few times.
Rusty was one of the nicest guys living. I mean, he really was.
I remember my dad talking about him.
Yeah. He was a little busy for me as a drummer. Like he was a lot busy, and he knew it. He says, yeah, I'm busy. I do it. I said, yeah, I know. It's like, fine. Yeah. But he was a great guy, and he'd sit in and switch the snare, and he switched the hi-hats and move them this way, and fuck around with the drums.
Yeah. Tony Vitale. I was just talking to him. He asked me to tell you to say hello.
Oh, Tony, the late great Tony Vitale. That's what
I see him. I see my whole career, my whole family, everybody that I knew. Oh my God, all the cats that my dad knew, like Gene Esposito.
Oh yeah, I remember
Frank Derone. Geez, there was Rick Verdi, Rick Vitale. All them cats that I miss so much. Sam Scafidi. I could go on forever.
I know you could. But I miss everybody living and dead now.
But it's
at
good.
home.
I got Tony. Tony reminds me of all them cats.
I know, because I've not only worked with Tony, but I lived with a drummer for 23 years. And I knew Tony, through him originally. And when I threw him out and got married, I used to ask Tone to do the drums all the time with me because he's that style,
Well, he played with Vic. He worked with my dad.
Well,
at the La Bistro.
I believe it. I believe it because that's his style, which is my style. I went to a thing here with Paul. Anyway, and it was at a really nice place, and he had a piano player that he didn't have any rehearsal. I won't go through the whole thing. The bass player was great. Piano player was good. I wouldn't work with him. It's not good for me. The drummer, everything sounded like Poinciana.
Yeah.
everything. And I thought, I wouldn't hire him. I'd rather sing a cappella, than hire him. I mean, it was jazz, it was all really nice tunes, and everything sounded like Poinciana. It's like, no. Tony's coming down here Thanksgiving time, so I'll see him for
good,
sure.
Good.
Oh, I will definitely see him, and his kid, Tony Jr. Tone, nice kid, nice kid. He's always been a nice kid. Yeah,
I went to see him. Yeah,
I always ask about him because he was young when I knew him, because I haven't seen him for years, but he was just so nice at that age. You know what I mean? Instead of, okay, old lady, like that. Okay, so you played drums because they were in the house and you picked them up. And you've obviously got good time.
Yeah,
Yeah. And that's your instrument besides singing.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was
Okay.
it. My primary instrument. But then I learned, the percussions and congas and timbales, and I was playing with a band called Network, and I joined Network. It was 1980. What was it? 1985, 85. And we were together till 3 years ago.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
through the band. Yeah. And it was a horn band. It was a South Side horn band. A lot of Van Morrison, stuff like that, and Chicago, great tunes. So I
Yeah.
joined them, and in that time, I at one time I had 3 bands going. I had Stay Out Band, I had Network, and I had Bananas in Pajamas. Now, Bananas in Pajamas was a corporate band. And that's when I hooked up with Dick Clark and all the other Chubby Checker, all them, was through Bananas in Pajamas.
I see. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so I was working my butt off and traveling. We'd go to Puerto Rico for the weekend. We go to Florida for the weekend. It was just a blast. And we had the Honey Bear Dancers.
Oh, that's neat.
Oh, it was fun.
That's very neat. That's very neat.
10-piece band.
There ain't nothing like it.
Oh, and Dick Smith Dick Smith's wife, Ellen, was our agent. I don't know if you know Dick Smith.
I don't.
He was a unbelievable party planner.
I don't.
Yeah, he passed away not too long ago.
Yeah, they're all dropping, aren't they?
I'm telling you, there's nobody left. I mean, I knew Sam DiStefano from Vegas. I knew a lot of people. Like Vic opened up Caesar's Palace in 1968. And it was 1966. I'm sorry, 1966. Vic opened up Caesar's Palace with Andy Williams and the Ritz Brothers and the Treniers. And it was like everybody was around at that time.
Who's this now?
I don't know. I got this message in front of my.
No. Look at see the picture.
I can't see it.
You can't
There's a
see
message. No, there's a message in front of it.
What does it say?
Can you move it over a little?
Let's see.
I don't know what this message says. This meeting is being recorded.
Yeah.
Should I hit this or something?
No.
Oh,
Just let it go.
got
Let it
it.
go. Wait. All right. Let's try it again. I didn't close the other one. Let's see if I can do it again.
'Cause there's
I
a
can't.
message.
That's all right. Can you see that now?
Oh yeah. That's
Okay,
me.
so there you are playing a timbale.
That's hard. I know that guy.
Do you? He looks
Yeah.
pretty sharp and yellow, I'll tell you that.
Oh, that was my zoot suit. I was the main guy, obviously. I was the big banana.
Yeah.
And the zoot suit we had to order from LA. It was great. It cost me a ton of money though. Anyway, it was a lot of fun. I mean, that's what we wore. Everybody wore the pants, but I had the jacket with the gold thing. It was fun.
Of course. Had to be glitzy, didn't it?
Of course.
Of course.
Dancing around in a zoot suit, I felt like Cab Calloway. You know?
Yeah, I do. I think they should come back. They're kind of neat. Sure.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of fun, don't you think?
Yeah.
I'd get one. Well, I have some jackets that kind of look like that anyway from, a long time ago that I kept. So I just all I
still
need.
have that suit.
Do you? Can you fit in it?
A little while ago, I had it on. It was still fitting.
It would?
Yeah. I mean, I'm about, when I get down to 230, I fit in it. When I'm at 250.
I was going to say, get Linda to get the suit and I'll make a bet you won't fit in it.
It all depends on how sick I got.
I see.
Yeah.
Let me take that down. All right. So let me see. I got another one here. Wait a minute. Okay. 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 What's that now?
Jeez. Oh, that's the album. The Stay Out album,
The
produced
Big
by
Caesar. Okay.
Caesar Productions. Yeah. He put his
Okay.
name on the top.
I
He
see.
said, he,
I see.
he, he said that anybody who's that, like Jerry Lewis would always put his name on the top. He said, I'm very vain, so I'm putting my name on the top. But I mean, the album was beautiful. I mean, the songs like Vanna. He wrote the song Vanna for Vanna White, who was a good friend of his. Well, she worked for Playboy, so did my dad.
How
And
good? How good a friend was she?
she was a good friend. When her husband died, I mean, he was there to console her.
Okay.
And same thing with Jimmy Kahn, because my dad lived at the mansion. He lived in Chicago, but LA was his place. He produced Barbie Benton for Hef.
Okay.
And that's a whole nother story. But
I'll bet. Oh,
I mean,
the stories
I
are
knew all
fun
the
though.
I knew all the girls. That picture with George Burns. George Burns would use the girls, the Playmates, which was my dad's band, the singing Playmates. Hef started a thing where all of his girlfriends he put into the singing thing. You know, Sandra Theodore, Shannon Tweed, Barbie Benton. They would all sing and have their own show. So George Burns would use the girls in his Vegas show, the Playmates.
Okay. I've got those pictures. I'm gonna put them up in a minute. I have to go get them and bring them back. The Zoom thing is.
Yeah,
I'm kind of new at it. My first real big thing of hosting was the other day or last week with Gary.
right.
So it is what it is, and I'll learn to do it a little better. But that's okay. I don't care as long as I get a good interview from Bobby C.
That's right. It's all
Bobby C. So, I worked with Milt a lot.
Trinier, yeah.
Yeah, when he was in Chicago, and they lived in Skokie. They still do. He's still alive.
Uh-huh.
I talked
He's
to
still
B.
alive.
Yeah, he's
God,
old.
bless him. When my dad did a show at his club, it was on
Lakeshore Drive.
Yeah,
that one. Yeah,
around Ontario, like it was further down. But it was a famous club. What the hell was the name?
You're talking about the one in the Shapery building.
Shapery.
That's where I worked with him. Yeah.
So
in the basement.
Vic did a show at Shapery, and I was there. I was sitting there while he's singing and stuff, and I got stoned on Pernod.
Ooh.
Out of my gourd. Me and a buddy of mine was sitting there drinking Pernod. And it's like a liqueur. It was really, I could never drink it again, obviously. But anyway, Vic calls me up to do a song. And it was like, on Broadway. That was the song. They say the neon lights are bright. So he brings me up to do this song. I don't remember even. I know I ruined it. I was so smashed. But anyway,
he had a really neat thing going there because I had some friends come. It was in the basement,
right?
And there was a little dance floor, which was the stage, and the band, and then that little balcony up in the back,
right?
And I had a friend come in and goes, "This is so retro," and it was, but it was fun. We did a show, and he was loose, and I was loose, and he'd bring me up, and I'd sing. And then we do a duet, off.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a hell of a lot of fun then. And there was nothing like it in Chicago, and there still isn't. Nothing like that. Because he'd sing the same songs over and over, But that's what he knew, and that's what he was good at. And they all wanted to hear him, too. He'd have the boys in there every once in a while, the Triniers. Yeah. And everybody, of course, would come for them, for sure. But he really became a very good friend. And I called them, I don't know, maybe about 5-6 months ago. And because he had a second stroke. And I talked to B basically, and she was telling him, so I don't know exactly how his health is, but that's such a different time
How
frame.
old is he now?
I don't know. He's got to be in 90. He's got to be.
Jeez.
Don't you think? At least I don't even know. Um, he was good at what he did, and
Oh,
what he
yeah.
did is
Sure
kind of
did.
what
He was
I
wonderful.
do. I mean, really,
Milt
and
was wonderful.
he really was, and he did his shit. He did the thing. I mean, I have a lot of these Martin and Lewis things where the Treniers were on it.
Oh,
when they
really?
were young, yeah, the
Yeah.
twins and all that. And he was real skinny, and he was in the back, and his eyes would be like this. And
Yeah.
he goes, look at those eyes. He was young, but yeah, that was very cool. Okay, so when did you do the movies? While you were a sheriff?
Yes. Yeah. I
Ah,
started after the album. It was like 1986. I said, well, I was always into acting. And I said, well, I might as well get an agent and start doing some movies, thinking I'm going to be a big star. I'm going to be a big star. So the first movie, I met the agent. The guy goes, what are you doing now? I said, nothing. We need you at a hospital. I says, okay, I'll go there. So I get in the car, go to the hospital. And it's a movie called Above the Law with Steven Seagal.
ah,
So my motivation is they blow up the church, and a bunch of people are in this hospital, they're crying. So I'm crying, and Steven Seagal walks over with Pam Grier. Beautiful. I'm looking at Pam Grier. I'm like, who is this gorgeous girl? I've never seen her before. Cleopatra Jones, all those movies. Never knew it. I go, who is this girl? And it wound up, I worked with her again in The Package. She was in The Package, and I worked in that movie. And so that was my first movie. It was Above the Law. Then I worked in other movies. What was Red Heat with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Belushi. But my favorite was Only the Lonely. That was my ever-loving favorite. John Candy was the most wonderful, warm-hearted person I've ever met. And then there was Maureen O'Hara. To spend time with her, forget about it. It was like one of the greatest actresses in the world. Worked with Charles Lawton, worked with everybody. And don't forget Anthony Quinn. My God, the Oxbow Incident. I go back to that when he was in that movie. I was amazed at all these wonderful, wonderful actors I'm in a movie with. I'm talking to Maureen O'Hara about John Wayne, the Duke. And then there's a scene where they left out of the movie, where we're singing Danny Boy. And we're all singing Danny Boy. They're left out of the movie. But I go, I've never knew the words to this song as far as the second verse. She goes, I recorded it. I said, no kidding. Yeah, it was on their Irish album. But anyway, she winds up singing it to me. The second verse, the first verse, the whole thing.
that's great. Was
Yeah,
anybody shitty?
yeah, I don't want to.
Oh, come on. We need some fucking dirt here.
Well, Belushi wasn't the best, I tell you. He lost his temper a few times on
Who?
set.
Who?
Jim Belushi.
Oh, well, he had a problem.
Yeah.
He did. But there had to be some other people that were shitty. Oh, come
Well,
on. They're all dead now. So what do you care?
Ali Sheedy was wonderful. She was nice, and everybody. I mean, there was Tony Quinn. He's like just a gruff guy, and he acted that way on set. He was, but he was Tony Quinn, Anthony Quinn, and I talked to him about his paintings because he did some great paintings, especially his self-portraits. Really, really nice paintings. He painted like Gauguin. No, I'm sorry, like Goya. I think. Yeah, the movie with Kirk Douglas, Van Gogh.
Yeah,
movie.
Van Gogh and
And he played,
Cezanne.
yeah, he played Van Gogh, and Tony Quinn played. I forgot another artist, but he painted like that.
But he was, like you said, Tony Quinn. He was good, you know.
Good, he was great. There's not one movie that I never liked on his part. I mean, like, every movie was great. Every movie was great. He did.
I know. He, I, I'm jealous that you met him.
Oh, don't be jealous. There's a lot of, you can watch his movies all the time. No, talking to,
As
we on?